In this video, we're going to take a double-axis diffraction grating and we're going to turn this into a very simple, home-built spectrometer for studying different light sources. These are the tools that you're going to need. You're going to need a ruler, some black electrical tape, a knife, a pair of scissors, and a pencil. Here we go. So we're going to make it out of this relatively thick paper, and I'm going to measure 2 inches from the corner. A couple of spots here. Draw a vertical line right there. I'll come 2 inches down vertically from the top and draw a horizontal line. And I'm off a little bit there, so let's check that again. That's okay. Be a bit lower. Okay, a horizontal line. This top corner we're going to cut out. And I'm going to come down another 2 inches. Come down another 2 inches over here. Draw another horizontal line. And I'm going to come down another 2 inches, and I might as well make mark at 4 inches. So again here 2 inches and 4 inches. And I just have to come over to this vertical line on these last bits here because most of that will get cut out. Okay, so this is going to make one end of our rectangular box, and I'm going to measure 7 inches over from the 2. I'm going to measure 7 over. I'm going to measure 7 over. We're going to make a vertical line here. And now this is my end on my left side, and so I've got to make a 2 by 2 box on this side. So 2 inches here, 2 inches here, and I can come down and do that. Okay, so all of this material here has to get cut out, and same with this over here, and then we're left with a pattern for our spectrometer. Okay, so all of these sides here get cut out. We have a long piece here that makes the sides for the left and right, and then these other panels will fold over. So let's go ahead and cut this up, and we'll see what that looks like. Snip there. Can take that corner off. There we go. Snip across here. And I'm going to cut this across the bottom all the way. Come up here, and stop just before this end. Cut this off here. Just like that, and cut this bottom end off completely, and we just have this one cut left here to do. Make this cut, and that now is our base. Okay, so here's our cutout panel. We need a couple of things here. We need to mount and cut out an opening for the spectrometer. This is the grating on the left side here, and this particular one is 13,500 lines per inch, double axis diffraction grating, and that's what we're going to use on the end. On the other end, we'll have to put our pinhole. So the best way of doing this is coming along and offsetting your grating from the end here, and I'm just going to line up where the grating is relative to the cardboard. I'll just make a mark here, a mark at the bottom, and now I can do the same thing over here along the top. I'm going to pull it, drag it down from the top end, and I can put a mark there and there. And this is roughly, it's an approximation here. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to get most of that grating opened up. And I can make some horizontal lines here on our marks that we made, the 2 marks, and same with the vertical lines. And like I said, this doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be roughly correct, and that's all we need. And if it's slightly offset here, if you've got the hole not cut perfectly vertical and horizontal, it's not a big deal. That's not an issue. What I am going to do now is use a knife to cut this out, and this paper is quite tough, so I'm going to do this a couple of times here. Make a cut, go over it again a couple of times, and if I go over, it's okay. I can feel that that's come through to the paper, and I can move over to the other vertical cut here and just go over it lightly in a couple of times. And if it doesn't go too well, like it's getting stuck here, it's okay. This is not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. As we've mentioned already, we just want to mount the grating in here in a nice, easy way. Okay, a couple of passes along the verticals here, and we should be good. So this may not pop out right away, but it'll be pretty close. You can bend the paper and pull that out. Okay, so there's our opening for our grating. The grating's going to sit right in here, and I'm off a little bit. I can see that I'm covering up some of the grating, but like I said, this is not a big problem here. As long as most of this is open, that's all we need. Okay. One other thing that we have to do, and we should do this right now, is mark where our pinhole should go. And I'm just going to go from corner to corner, drop a line across the middle here, corner to corner, and well, that's where our pinhole is going to go. And I'm just going to use my sharp tip here, and watch your fingers. I'm just going to open this up a little bit and come in from the other side. There's many ways of doing this. You can get a sharp pencil. I just happen to have the knife there, so I'm using the knife, and I can come along and clean that up a little bit. And if it's not perfect, it's not a big deal. This is not an exact science, of course. We are just making a very simple, quick and easy homemade spectrometer. Okay, so I'm just going to cut off some of this burr just because it's there. And I can just come through here. Okay, so there's my opening. Hope you can see that. We just want to make this work and have some fun doing it. So there it is. So that's what we have to work with. What we're going to do now is grab our electrical tape, and we're going to mount our grating on the inside. So this is going to be the inside. The surface will be on the inside. We'll fold it, and this box surface is here. So we're going to place this grating here, and then before we do that, I used a pencil to highlight these lines here, and that gives us a little bit of a spot where this will easily bend over. And I'm just going to fold this over here. I'm going to fold this here as well a couple of times back and forth here. There we go. I'm going to fold it along here. This may not work so well for you. You'll have to see. It depends on the paper. The paper I'm using right now, this makes it relatively easy, but if you're finding that it's hard to bend, I think what one can do is come along and just press a bit harder with the pencil. It leaves a bit of a depression in the paper, and that allows the paper to fold just a little bit easier. So if I do that, I can bend this paper over, and it really just folds on the line more or less. So that actually works quite well. and I've gone bent all of those edges. One more to go here. And I've noticed I could have pressed a bit harder on the lines here when I made the lines with the pencil, and that really helps score the paper and gives you a place where it folds easily. Okay, so that is that, and now what we want to do is mount our grating, and the grating is going to be mounted on the inside. And what we have to be careful about here is that I'm going to cut some pieces of tape that basically overlap and come over the edge here, but I can't make it too long that when I fold it, I cover the inside of the grating. So we just have to be careful of that. You also have to be careful of the width here. This width is less than the width up here, so just watch out for the grating you have. In case those widths are different, just make sure that you take that into account when you cut your tape, and that you don't cut it too long and it overlaps with the grating. Okay, so I'm going to take my tape, I'm going to cut a small piece off here, and I'm just approximating this. I'm not measuring, I'm just roughly guessing how much I need, and I'm going to come down and tape this halfway, fold that over, and like I said, this doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to change the result. It just has to look nice when you're done. Okay, so that's the two sides, and I'm just going to do the top as well. I can make the tape just a little bit longer. Grab more of the paper and the grating, and so there it is. That's on there nicely. It's going to stay up here. The other end, that's what you're going to see on the outside, and you can see that I could have made this tape a bit longer, and in fact what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit more because I just want to make sure that that stays on there. So I'll just come in from this side, and yeah, that's much better. There we go. Okay, so that's how you put the grating in, and now what I'm going to do is close this thing up and put this box together. And the way I'm going to do that is take a little bit of tape, a bit longer in length than what I was using before, and I'm going to do this edge first here. So I'm going to come along and put some tape on here. I can line up this corner, and I can get in here and I can get that tape in place, just like that. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. A bit longer length here. I'm going to come along here and about halfway come in here. I can put my fingers on the inside. I'm supporting the inside wall here, and I can close that up and get that tape to stick properly. Okay, so that's one side here, and now I can fold this up, and I'm going to do the other edge here. Okay, so another length of tape. I'll come in here and put this along here, roughly halfway down the length. I can fold this over, come over, and so now I haven't gone and cut a length of tape that goes from the one edge to the other. And the reason why I didn't do that is because it's hard to do, for one, and two, we want to cover these corners later, and I'll show you how to do that, and it just makes it go a little bit easier, a little bit faster. Okay, so let's continue with getting this box together and getting this tape on there, and snip. Again, come along, and I'm just going to put tape halfway up here. I can reach inside and support the cardboard, this paper, and I can fold this over, and that gives me a pretty good edge. I'm a little bit off here, but not to worry, that doesn't matter. The other ones went well here. I rushed it a little bit, but you can take your time, and we just close that up when we do the corners, and we'll do that in a bit. Okay, we're going to do the tops here now. So just come along here, snip a little bit of tape, and I'm going to put it on the top surface here. I can come in and I want to make sure I catch this corner here and make sure that's lined up, and I can bring that over because of the grating in here. So this edge is quite nice. You can come down and fold that tape down. It's a little bit harder on the other side because there's no support here, but it's still not very difficult. I'll come along and tape this halfway, so I'm coming halfway along the tape here. I can bring that over, and one nice thing you can do is you can just put a little bit of tension onto. I'm holding the box, I'm pulling the edge of the tape to my right here, and that tightens it up, and I can fold it over, and there we go. Okay, here I can cut now a longer piece because I don't want to go in small steps here. And same thing, what I can do is I can tape down the top. I can still reach in here and make sure I get a good joint between the tape and the paper. Make sure it's sticking well. And I can come over and I can pull a little bit and pull down. And it would be nice to be able to get in here. So this is going to be the one joint that's the hardest to do. And again, I didn't go to the ends here. There's lots of space here. That's okay. There's a gap here. That's okay. The idea here is really just to get a box that's sealed up, no lights coming in from outside, and we have a pinhole on one side and the grating on the other, and that's all we really need. The rest will work itself out. So now what I'm going to do is do the corners. So here I'm going to take a piece of tape that's a little bit longer than where I want to go. So I have to cover from here to here. So I'm going to cut my tape from a few 5 or 6 millimeters to the left, and 5 or 6 millimeters longer than it needs to be. And I'm going to come down and just cover up that corner just like that. So you can see that maybe I have a centimeter by something, and I will snip the corner here just like that, and I can fold this corner down. I can fold the front down, and I can fold the edge over, and that seals it really nicely. So there's nothing leaking here. There may be a small dot of light that might get to the corner, but really with the tape being cut the way it is, that's not a problem. And now we go and do all of the corners just like that. So I'll take a piece of tape, snip, I'll make sure it hangs over both sides here, to my left and to the front here. I snip the corner, pull my tape down, over and down. So that's corner number 2. And we go through and we do all of the corners exactly like that. So tape down, snip, down, down, over. Okay, let's keep going. Corner, we do a little snip, we bring it down, bring that over, bring that down, stick it to the corner here. Perfect. Okay, now let's do the bottom. That's the only thing left. And I'm going to, I gotta watch out for the grating here, so I don't want to go too far. Watch out for the grating. I don't want to cover the grating. Over, over, and over. There we go. Okay, let's do this one here. And let's see if we can make this work. Okay. Snip. We can tape this corner. We can snip right along there. Bring that down, bring that down, bring that across. and that's a nice finish. Okay, 2 more to go, and then we're done, and then we'll see how this thing works. Oop, just drop my tape. I heard that it went rolled out of the way, down the corridor here. Okay, down, down, over. Let me go and get that tape. Well, that went quite far. That's the thing about a rolly tape. A roll of tape rolls quite far. Okay, so here's the last little bit. I'm going to pull this over. I'm going to snip this, and over we go. Now I'm noticing that our hole here, our pinhole, is not looking so good, so I'm going to go in now and just redo that so the edges are relatively smooth. And one of the upgrades you could do here is you could cut out a larger hole here and then use some thicker cardboard that you've cut a hole out of, and you can just tape that on there. But this will be fine. So there's our pinhole, there's our grating, and there's our little box. And this is now quite sturdy. And well, let's take a look and see how this works. So I'm now going to move this camera. I'm going to face it into the light. And these are compact fluorescents that I'm using to light our table here. And I'm going to bring this spectrometer up to the camera lens, and we're going to focus, and let's zoom in here, and focus, focus, there we go. So that's, well, it's not catching the focus. Let's give it a sec, and I'm going to switch this to manual focus. So that's what we see with compact fluorescence, and this is the 2-axis grating, and works great. So you can see that the hole is not perfectly round, but as long as there's some light coming in, it doesn't really matter. It's working really well. So that's the compact fluorescent, and that's the spectrum you get. You can see that there are discrete red, green, and blue dots, basically. So it's not a continuous spectrum like you would see from the sun. And so yeah, this works quite well. Okay, so there you have it. That is our very simple spectrometer. This is going to allow you to look at different light sources and take some pictures. You can hold a camera up to this side here. As long as you get the focus right, you'll get a pattern, you can take a picture, and it's easy. It's an easy project. So there you have it. A very simple spectrometer.